So let me talk about lame-o Neil Young before I get back to calls. I will try to plow through this so I can get back to you guys. Morning Brew reported on this quote, far-left extremist outlet Morning Brew sent the email update to Hake, and Hake checked it this time. Quote, I just cannot leave. I don't know how this guy sounds, so I can't imitate him, unfortunately. I cannot just leave Apple and Amazon like I did Spotify, because my music would have very little streaming outlet to music lovers at all, he said. 2 years after ditching Spotify, far-left extremist Spotify, bullied by its far-left extremist SJW employees, by the way, in protest of Spotify's $200 million deal to distribute Hake's competitor, Joe Rogan's podcast, exclusively. Neil Young. What does he sing anyway? I probably have a couple of Neil Young songs. Not to be confused with the great, but not Christian, Neil Diamond. Anybody? Neil Diamond? Sweet Caroline? Oh my gosh. So good. Neil Young. I don't know. I have 2 songs from him. Heart of Gold and Old Man. Are those good songs? I can't even think of what they sound like. But I was raised on Christian music, so I'm not really a reliable source on good secular music. Or good music. I'm excited about Neil Young coming back to Spotify, says Terry. What's up, Terry? Oh, by the way, I have to read the super chats, too. So 2 years after ditching Spotify in protest of the $200 million deal for Joe Rogan's podcast, because Spotify used to be just music, now they have podcasting. You can podcast The Hake Report on Spotify, did you know? And The Jesse Lee Peterson Show. And I believe American Anchor Baby. And I'm quite sure Joel Friday TV. So check those all out. Neil Young says he's returning to his music to the platform of Spotify. He came crawling. You'll be back, said Spotify. Get out of here. You'll be back. You'll come crawling back. So Neil Young, over the hill, but still liberal, unfortunately. It doesn't fit to be an old and liberal still, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. People have to. We bear with one another in love, as the Bible says. The singer is still not a fan of the experience that Joe Rogan provides listeners, like he even knows anything about it. Does he know anything about it? Joe Rogan's a liberal. He's like a Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama supporter who's like hit and miss. He's basically a Don Lemon, except maybe not as bitter and nasty and not morally straight as Don Lemon or Black. But he's like this kiss-up guy. Didn't I cover him earlier this week? I feel like I covered something Joe Rogan all kissing up to that black guy who ended up having a head in his freezer. That black ex-convict whose dad allegedly R-worded a 7-year-old stepdaughter. That black guy whose son allegedly beat up and pushed a Asian guy into traffic, and the Asian guy got hit by a car and died. Joe Rogan kissing up to these blacks and criminals. Give me a break. And pushing pot. He's a liberal. But anyway, and he thought Obama was good. But anyway, this singer is still not a fan of him, blah, blah, blah. Spotify has given up exclusivity. Oh, that's his excuse? That's his excuse? So Spotify is no longer exclusive Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan can be on other platforms, I guess. I guess Joe Rogan is now also on Apple and Amazon, my competitor. How am I going to compete with my competitor is expanding? That means he's getting spread thin. I'll get you. I'll get him. That means that what Neil Young called a disinformation podcast, give me a break, will be available wherever you get your podcasts, which also means Apple and Amazon. Hake is also on Amazon podcasts. Did you know that? Don't tell Amazon. Watch some of my hater listeners go report Hake to Amazon, and Hake gets kicked off Amazon. Nah. Why would they kick me off? I'm such a nice guy. Neil Young is still none too happy with Spotify in announcing his reversal. Listen to this, and then I'll get back to calls. Hang tight. Neil Young called it the #1 streamer of low-res music in the world. Talk about bitter, sour grapes slap in the face of this company who's hosting your music, where you get less quality than we made, said Neil Young. Music, audiophile snob. ADF, audiophile. Hake, I love you, but you got less than 400 watching. Rogan got hundreds of millions, says Big Bitch 909. What do you know? Maybe angels in heaven are watching Hake, whereas it's demons. Whatever. Neil Old, that's right, Mike Gibson. Hake International. No, Hake Interstellar. With the angels in heaven. Joe Rogan is buying views. Yeah, I don't buy my viewers. Anyway, that's the story. Isn't that kind of petty? He has to get in his little jabs at Spotify. You're basically acting like a Don Lemon, Neil Young. Who wants to work with you? Nobody. You're being bitter. He's a singer guy. I don't know. Shall I play one of his songs? Here. That's what it sounds like. Oh, that's nice. Hey, he used to be talented. Right on, Neil Young. We wish you well. Yay, Spotify. Congrats. Okay.